Hello and welcome back to the podcast of Steel. And I am your host, Luke Bug, the Geek of Steel. No guest on this episode, it's just little old me talking about some fantastic experiences and some memories that have been made over the last couple of days. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Where do I begin? Uh, As soon as I found out about this documentary, I needed to know more. I wanted to watch it. I wanted to support it. And I'm so glad that recently I was invited by Warner Brothers UK and DC UK official with some other members of the DC UK family to watch this film, to experience this documentary, which it is. It is an experience. And over the last 48 hours, I've been crying a lot. It was emotional to say the least. So, in this podcast, I will be talking about that experience, leaving my thoughts on this documentary, talking about what I got up to and why these past 48 hours will stay with me for many years to come. Yes. So, the documentary. We all know about the dreadful accident that happened to Christopher Reeve and his inspirational life before and after. We've read his autobiographies, we've seen his interviews, we've watched documentaries. I knew what I was getting myself into when I was going to watch this documentary, but nothing was left off the table. It was almost as if I was finding out all this information again from fresh accounts. It was done in such a fantastic way. But it didn't just focus on the bad sides. There is hope in this documentary. There is inspiration. There's motivation. It teaches us a lot about Christopher's life before he was Superman and after, how he got the role, how he trained for the role. It was a beautiful insight. Now, I could have watched a 10-hour documentary about Christopher Reeve and the Dana and Reeve Foundation. But it was just over an hour and a half, I believe, and it was just the perfect amount of time to really just get lost in this inspirational and heartbreaking story of family and determination and overcoming all those things that set us back. And to have this home footage that the Reeve family kindly entrusted in the director's hands to produce this fantastic documentary. Some of this footage has never been seen before. And for the Reeve family to do that, those personal, heartfelt moments with their family, with their parents, it was powerful. This film is powerful. And from the moment this film started, and I saw the new DC Studios animated logo with Superman busting out of those chains, and then it went straight into this score, this magnificent score by Ilan Eshkeri. Everything about this film I adored. Now I've got my notes by the side, my trusty Daily Planet book. I'm going to ramble in this podcast. It's what I do. It's what I do best, some may probably think. But I've been talking about this film non-stop since I came out of that screening just a couple of days ago. And after the credits rolled and there was applause in our theatre, there was silence. Throughout the film, you could hear people sniffing and crying and wiping away tears and laughing. There's a lot of laughter in this documentary. There are some beautiful personal moments. But it was so beautifully done. Ian Burnett and Peter Etedgi. I will talk more about those later on, the fantastic directors and producers and heroes that made this documentary possible. But there are so many more people behind the scenes, and I will get to those soon. But As a Superman fan and a Christopher Reeve fan, this documentary meant so much to me, and to be able to finally see it. It will be out later on this year in the UK on the 1st of November. It's been in cinemas already around the world, and it's been crushing. People have seen this film and messaged me saying, "Have you seen it yet? Have you watched it? Can we talk about it? What did you think?" And sadly, I had to say, "I've not seen it yet, but I will do soon." And I'm so grateful that I have finally seen it. Now, I'm aware that some people in the UK and around the world are yet to see it, and I hope you get to see this film soon. It is truly magnificent. I'm a fan of documentaries. They're often playing in the background. I have them on as a sort of white noise. But this documentary, you're not spoon-fed information. It's not thrown at you, and you're not drowned in quotes and interviews, and it's done in such a pure way that the emotion is a roller coaster. There's ups and downs. There's fantastic music. It's the score that I can't get enough of because I've been listening to it since I watched the film. It really gets you in the mood of the movie. Especially, I think it's track 2, which is called 1973, which is all about disco and the days and years leading up to when Christopher Reeve was a budding actor and was getting into the world of acting, and when he got into the role of Superman. But this soundtrack, combined with these fantastic visuals, was just incredible. But the one scene that I really, really want to see again was the opening intro. Yes, we see that new DC Studios logo, but then it goes into this just powerful, powerful montage of Superman clips. Clips that we've seen 1,000 times before, but in this way of it being shown with new music was just, it got me in the mood for this film. It made me get in my chair and brace myself for the impact that this film would give me. And boy, I was hooked to that screen from the moment it started. Learning facts. There were some new facts there that I didn't know about Christopher and the Reeve family, and facts about the film. But yes, as a Superman fan, I'm going to love this movie. But those that aren't a big of a Superman fan, as a lot of us are still going to get a lot out of this, which is why this film is getting some fantastic reviews. It premiered yesterday at the BFI for the film awards. The film festival, and it's getting 5-star reviews, and I'm so happy that it is, because this film clearly has been just a wonderful project of passion for everybody that has worked behind the scenes. And I feel that I'm already rambling about this film, but it's beautiful. It is a wonderful way to continue the legacy of Superman and Christopher Reeve. The personal and sometimes painful insights we get to see to Christopher's life, and how his children were affected and how his world was affected by that accident, and the years after it. I'm thinking back now to some just powerful moments. Now, as I said, I've been crying a lot over the weekend, and when we came out of the screening, we were all just kind of just quiet and just not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say. There were cuddles, there were hugs, there were pats on backs, and then we were asked by Warner Brothers to, do you mind just stepping in front of this photograph so we can film your initial reactions? And we were there with very red and puffy eyes, trying to think of 3 powerful words to describe this film. I think I chose emotional, powerful, and inspirational. That's what I got from this film anyway. I think that's what I said. To be honest, as I said, the last 48 hours have been an absolute whirlwind. And I'll explain why now. Yeah, let's do that, Luke. So we watched the documentary, this fantastic documentary, beautifully shot, beautifully edited by, I've got my list of names here so I don't forget, Otto Burnham, and another producer was Lizzie Gillette, who I will speak about shortly. But we watched the film. We laughed, we cried, we gasped. We were left in such an inspirational state of mind because, yes, this film, it's got those highs and those drastic lows, but it still manages to leave you with this feeling of inspiration, and that as a world we can do anything we set our minds to if we have hope, if we look for the positive. There are some fantastic scenes in the film with Robin Williams, who was a good friend of Christopher Reeve. And in those moments, we got some laughter, we got some sadness, we got some true, honest moments. But that's what this film does. It really just lays it all out on the table and tells this fantastic story so honestly, in such a beautiful, heartfelt way that is just filled with compassion and love. The moments we get to hear more from the Reeve family and how they dealt with the loss of their father and how they are still dealing with the loss of their father. Loss is, and grief is something that never really goes away. And I'll talk a bit more about that later on if I remember to, and if I don't set myself off crying again. But yes, we watched the documentary, which was beautiful. Then we set our pieces to the camera. We gave our quotes. We started trying to write our reviews. And we also were planning questions because a little bit after this fantastic screening, we were going off to see the directors, Ian and Peter. And over the months, I've spoken to them briefly online, and I was excited to finally meet them in person. And we were going to a Q&A session in a wonderfully posh hotel. And as we got there, we were still quite distraught from the film, but still elated at the same time. And we had our questions ready. We sat in a little room. We were given some wonderful Superman treats, these little biscuit-type snack bars that had the logo on it. And what was very exciting was, again, seeing that DC Studios logo on an edible snack. And then it was time. We were sent down to wait outside for the round table experience, where we would all sit down and listen to these two wonderful people speak about this film and how they made it and how they got through the challenge of making this film. And Ian and Peter gave some wonderful answers and some wonderfully funny insights into this film. And it was truly wonderful to hear from them about how much passion they had for this film. From the moment it started to the moment that it got lit, it got the approval of James Gunn. And they talked about how James Gunn watched this film and showed it with the cast and crew of his Superman film. And I would love to know more about that, because if this it is inspiring audiences around the world, I would love to know how James Gunn felt and how his cast and crew felt when they were still in the process of filming their Superman film. It must have been a huge motivation, and one day I hope to ask some of them questions about that. But we all got to ask a question, and we got some fantastic answers. I believe we are getting footage today of that roundtable event, and I will try and add my question and answer to this video as well. If not, I've got the audio. I will save that as well. But it was a wonderful way to end this exquisite day by speaking with the people that made this film that almost broke us, but then rebuilt us. We could not only, say, how dare you leave us so emotionally emotions. It was it was a day filled with emotions, as I said, but it was a great moment to sit down with Ian and Peter to again give us a closer connection with this film. And I will be eternally grateful to Warner Brothers UK and DC UK for inviting us to this event. I am fully aware how blessed I am and how fortunate I am to be able to go to events like this. I've been pinching myself over the past few weeks when I got invited to this event and I couldn't mention it to anybody. I know that this isn't an everyday event. So I've had some comments saying that people are jealous and that they're saying that I'm lucky, and I completely understand that. But I've said this time and time again on the podcast and in interviews, the harder you work, the luckier you will get. And over the years, I've built relationships with companies like Warner Brothers and DC Comics, and I'm honored that they still ask me along. I'm doing something right. What that is, I don't know, because right now I feel like I am gushing because this is what this film and weekend has done to me. So yes, we watched the film. We got some snacks. We went and spoke with the directors, and I was on cloud 9.5. And I was ready to get a train home and to try and write some more of my review in my trusty book. But then those crafty crew at Warner Brothers said, "Oh, we've got one more little surprise for you." And the door opened as we left, and the Reeve family were there. Matt, Will, and Alexandra. And there is footage of all of our faces aghast, just taking it all in, and it was a pinch me moment. It didn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real to be stood there with this family of tall, gorgeous people who had literally an hour ago we were watching them share very, very personal stories about their dad and about that trauma and about the inspiration and the power that their father has left on the world. And I'm going to start rambling and crying again, but to be able to shake the hands of Christopher's children and not only thank them for this documentary, but thank them for what Christopher Reeve has done for my life. Years of entertainment, years of enjoyment and happiness, and it's a safe place. When we get lost in these movies, when we get so attached to a character that it feels like it's they're almost a part of you in a way. When anybody Superman's playing on TV, or somebody's out shopping, or sees a Superman in a shop, and I get a photograph and they say, "Oh, I saw this Superman thing and I thought of you," it makes me smile. This connection with Superman that has grown and gotten stronger over the years, I can't control it, much like I can't control my emotions today. To be able to thank the Reeve family, to shake their hands and listen to what their dad means to them, was a beautiful moment for me. I have mentioned this on the podcast before, don't talk about it too often, but I lost my dad when I was 15. So there were some real raw feelings in that documentary when I could relate to the pain of seeing my dad in a hospital bed, very unwell and weak and not the man that I knew. And so I could relate to that part of Superman. But this documentary just brought back so many memories that I thought that I bottled up, and maybe I should look into that some more. But that's a conversation for another day with possibly people that know how to answer my questions and thoughts. But to be able to, again, thank this family and the directors, to look into these beautiful people's eyes and thank them for this film and thank them for all they've done for the Reeve and Dana Foundation, for their continuous support and getting the message out there that help is out there, that hope is out there. It was a moment that I will never forget. And I've thanked so many people over the last 48 hours, and I will continue thanking people. It was such a whirlwind moment. But again, there was still laughter. There's such a charming family. And there were jokes, there were giggles, there were some photographs that I will cherish forever, because they are the proof that this weekend was not a dream, that it did actually happen. Such a fantastic weekend. One that I just will not forget. And it wasn't over. After that day sadly came to an end, and I got the train home, and I was there just again filled with emotion. Sat on a train back home, trying to compose my thoughts and write a review, and just ride that wave of happiness was interesting. But then yesterday was another trip to London for another special event, for a drinks reception. So the film had its premiere yesterday at the IMAX in London, one of the biggest screens in the UK. And it's already receiving 5-star reviews, which is just fantastic. I'm so happy that this film is doing well. The cast and crew deserve it so much. But we were invited again by the wonderful Warner Brothers to a drinks reception. And we all met up, as we always do. The DC crew, we're never late. We're often very, very early. And we were all there. And we checked ourselves in. I've still got my wristband on. I don't want this weekend to end, so I'm not going to take this off. I feel like a festival goer. But we went in. We had some wonderful champagne, some tasty food. There was a big electric wall that had a huge screen that was playing some fantastic imagery from the movie. But every now and again, a link would come up for the Christopher and Dana organisation, and I did like seeing that. I've already donated some more money to this film, and I'm hoping that the charity will continue to get more donations when people see this film and relate to it in such a strong way. But it was a fantastic night of laughter, talking about the film, talking about our memories of Superman and Christopher Reeve, and the impact of this film, and where this film will lead on to with the new Superman film next year. And the directors were there, and more producers, including Lizzie, who I was able to give a thank you card to. I love thank you cards. I've always done that since I was a wee lad. But thank you cards is just another way of me to not only say thank you, but also here's a thank you card, because it's important that you know how appreciative I am of these interactions. And Ian and Peter got some thank you cards with some of these classic Superman 78 cards. Oh, there's a random small one in there as well. But it was just my little way of saying, look, thank you. This is from me to you. And Lizzie wasn't there on Sunday, but I did message her, and I found out she was going to be at the drinks reception. So that we need to meet. I need to thank you, and we finally did. And it's for some reason, many people think I'm American. From me being online, I'm not too sure how that comes about. But Lizzie was a bit shocked. She said, "Oh, you're English." I was like, "I am." But Lizzie got a card, we got a photograph, and I was able to thank another person in this beautiful, beautiful gang of people that have made this film possible. And I did get to speak to, yes, Elan as well, the composer of this beautiful score. I'm trying to. My head is just filled with so many memories and visuals. And this is when my head starts getting a bit floaty and I start to ramble. But it was a beautiful night. We saw the Reeve family again. They gave a beautiful speech along with the producers and the directors of the film. And it was a wonderful night. You could feel the love in that room. You could feel the hard work and determination that not only this film produced, but also the power of the Reeve family and what they have brought to the world. I'm going to be smiling about this event for days to come, for years to come, to know that for one moment in my life I was in the same room as the Reeve family, the descendants of Christopher Reeve. Not only that, but I was able to interact with them and thank them and speak with them and listen to their stories is a memory that I would just simply cherish. And this is why I love doing what I do. Over the years, I've got myself into some very exciting and bizarre situations that I never thought I would get myself into because of a very powerful love for a fictional character, for Superman. He's everywhere around me, as is Christopher Reeve. He's everywhere around me as well. I've mentioned this before for people that want to get into blogging, that want to continue sharing their passions with the world. Tiptoe out of comfort zones and see what happens is all I can say. Because I never thought that I would meet some of these people in my life and be able to speak with them and share my love for superheroes and Superman and comics and happy places. That's what comics are to me. That's what Superman is to me. It's that warm blanket. It's safety. It's escapism. It's something to make a dark day brighter. And that's what I'll look back on from this film. And this weekend, it's making those memories, enjoying life, being in the moment, and appreciating positivity. We're going to get dark days. We're going to get better days. And that is what this film does so beautifully. It gives you the highs and lows of life and leaves you just appreciating so much and reminiscing about times gone by and family members, and that is what any good film should be able to do, is make you feel something. I can feel myself starting to ramble now, so I'm going to have to wrap up this podcast. But I will be talking about this film for years to come, and I hope the world does as well. And I'm so thankful that James Gunn and the DC Studios got behind this and were able to help increase the volume of this film's presence and sharing it with the world more. I can't wait until I can buy this hopefully on Blu-ray or it's available on streaming websites. I want to be able to support this film endlessly. I want to watch it again. I want to see the things that I missed. I want to laugh again with this film and I want to cry again with this film. But as reviews go, it was always going to be a win for me. Anytime I get to learn more about Superman and Christopher Reeve and the impact that Superman has on the world, I'm going to enjoy it. I just didn't know how much this film would hit me right in the gut. I don't think I've got much more else to say. I probably will, but right now I feel like I'm rambling. I'm going to need to talk about this with more people once they have seen the film. It's out on November the 1st, so please, I beg of you, watch this film and then talk with me. Talk with me about it. Tell me what made you cry. Tell me what made you laugh. Tell me what made you think a bit more. Oh, it's been a very emotional weekend. And I've just had the most perfect of times. So again, one more time, thank you to everybody that made this film. Thank you to Warner Brothers UK. Thank you to the Reeve family. Again, I'm still just remembering the fact that I've met the Reeve family. I like to be prepared for any situation, as I'm still rambling. And I had a glimmer of hope that the Reeve family might come to the UK, or I might see them at the premiere, or I might bump into one of them in London. So, as well as creating a thank you card for Ian and Peter and Lizzie, I also wrote a letter to the Reeve family, explaining my thanks and my gratitude for everything they've done for this film. Writing a little bit in there about my dad. And after the meet and greet, I was again on cloud nine, but then I remembered that I had a thank you card. And I handed it over. And that was that. And then yesterday at the event, I was speaking with the Reeve family again. And they mentioned how they opened the letter together. And they said they were sorry for my dad's loss. And in that moment, I was very, very emotional, like I am now. Excuse me. I try and do something every day to make my dad proud. That way, his memory lives on. And in a way, the Reeve family now know the existence and the impact that my dad had on the world, just like their dad had on their world. I thought I was going to cry. I thought I was. And I did. But yes, thank you cards. They're important. If I could give you one piece of wisdom, it's that. Write down thanks and give thanks to people. Let them know why they are important. Because you never know when those words are going to be needed. Oh. Yay for emotions. I think that's enough for now. I'm probably going to be talking about this for many, many months to come. But this, I think, is a good time to end this podcast. The film is out in the UK on November the 1st. It will be a beautiful moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again wherever I can. Again, once you've seen it, please let me know. We can talk about it. And I'll be back soon with a new episode of the Podcast of Steel. Maybe one that doesn't have tears in it. And, yes, powerful stuff. Whew. You can find me online, all the usual stuff. I'm trying to just click into a professional mode, if there is such a thing with me. Listen to more episodes of the Podcast of Steel. You can find me online. Just search for The Geek of Steel. One more time. Thank you to everybody that made this film happen. Thank you to Ian. Thank you to Peter. Thank you to Lizzie. Thank you to Otto Burnham, the editor. Thank you to Warner Brothers UK. Josh, if you're listening or watching, You know how much this weekend meant to me and all of the DC family. Thank you to the Reeve family. Thank you for travelling to England. Thank you for giving all those home videos to the makers of this film and entrusting them with yours and your dad's story. And thank you to Christopher Reeve and Superman, I suppose, because why not? I have been your host, a very happy and emotional Luke Bug, the Geek of Steel. Thank you for listening and watching, and I will be back soon with dry eyes.